We can start with a word of prayers from the president of the RCCG Administrators Forum globally, distinguished professional colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Please let's welcome Pastor Seun Adebayo as he leads us in the opening prayers. Pastor Seun Adebayo.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Shall we please pray? Father, we thank you for everything you have done for us since the inception of Ogun State branch. We thank you for the previous meetings and conferences and programs. We thank you for the impact this has made in our lives. Lord, we ask that today will not be an exception. You will do something new. You will impact our life positively. And we'll get better and better still. Every facilitator, we commit them into the hands that you inspire them to inspire us. That all of us will fire up. Thank you, righteous Father. For in Jesus' mighty name we have prayed.
Amen. Thank you. When a word of prayer is coming from the bishop, I believe the meeting is already a success. So right about now, we want to say the national anthem.
All rise, all compatriots, Nigerians come amen to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes was joining on in the land to serve with heart and voice. One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Is the official opening of the 7th annual branch conference by our distinguished president and chairman of the governing council I believe he's ably represented by the registrar, Chief Executive Officer of their institute, Ms. Busola Alufer. With a round of applause, could we please welcome to the, is it a microphone now? There's no podium here. Distinguished registrar, Ms. Busola Alufer.
Good morning, all. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Good morning, ma'am.
Our dear State Branch Chairman, Mr. Adetu Tosa, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
It's very good to be here. To all the executives of Ogun State Branch, good morning. Thank you very much for all you do. And to all members of our dear Ogun State Branch, you are all very much appreciated. I stand on the existing protocols, and I thank all our guests that are here this morning at this conference. The President and Chairman of the Governing Council, I am hoping that he will be here at some point today. We are meant to be here to support the conference and to lend you all the, the weight of the national. But what I usually do is I turn the organizational triangle on its head, and it is the branches and the chapters that are really the most critical, because you are closer to the grassroots, you are closer to the audience that we are seeking to impact. And so our job is to support you in everything that you do. So I won't take too much of your time. I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to be here. I want to thank you all for all you do in these disruptive times. And regardless of the exigencies of your day job, where you each work and do business, you all still make all the time you can to be at the various Cipm learning and development events, the events where we come together as a body, where we rejuvenate, where we learn, unlearn, relearn, where we upskill and we strengthen our knowledge and understanding of the tenets of our wonderful profession that help us to continuously and constantly deliver value through people. It's a very wonderful opportunity that we have, and it is a very high calling indeed. And I want to encourage every single one of us to find those places where we can make a difference and where we can make an impact, such that the brand of the Cipm grows stronger and stronger day by day across the public service, across the civil service, across private sector organizations everywhere in Nigeria and across Africa. And so that ultimately we achieve that vision we have of being the foremost people management and organization development institute in Africa, respected across the world. We are very much on our way to achieving those lofty aspirations captured within our vision and our mission. And we are also, through all the things we do, continually defining the standards of HR practice, the professional standards of HR practice. We are the HR regulatory body, the apex organization for HR professionals. We are established by law, so we have that mandate to constantly define and keep up to date those professional standards. We also make sure that people, both members and non-members, continuously upskill and strengthen their knowledge and their learning across the entire end-to-end value chain. What it is we do, how it is we must do those things, whilst also ensuring that we maintain the highest standards of ethics and compliance, because we are a compliant institute and we must be a role model institute, while every single member of the institute is a role model member and ambassador of the Cipm. So those standards must always be front and foremost, and we must always seek to maintain ethics and compliance, and also to affect positively those around us. So the role we have as an institute as role model and as individual role model ambassadors of the institute. It is not a small thing. And we thank you for playing that role daily, both in your professional and in your private lives, because life today with technology, as we know, is a continuum. There's no segregation, particularly between life and work. But of course, we maintain work-life balance, okay? That's not to say you must work 24 hours a day. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm simply mentioning is that we live our lives and we carry the brand with us in all the things that we do. So that's very important for us to remember. So without taking too much more time further, I just want to say thank you to the Ogun State branch executives, the Expo, all the members, and for all our wonderful guests to have joined us this morning. I am sure it will be rich discourse, and I look forward to learning, sharing, and growing with every single one of you. Thank you very much as I hand back to the moderator to continue driving the program. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I believe the president and chairman of the governing council will join us before the end of this meeting. Again, we celebrate our distinguished registrar and chief executive officer of our prestigious institute. Ma, please, you have one more assignment to tidy up for us, and that is the reading, is it reading or recitation of the Code of Professional Conduct of our institute. So I'm going to share my screen and share it while we still hand the platform over to you to coordinate that. Over to you, Ma.
Okay, thank you. I'll wait for the screen to share. It's coming up. The next slide. Can you put it on a slideshow so we can all see? The next slide.
So are you good?
Yes, but it's a bit small. If you go to the bottom right of your screen, bottom right on your bar at the bottom, yes, that one. Thank you. Yes, okay. So dear esteemed members of Ogun State Branch and our guests today, as I was saying, we hold our Code of Professional Conduct very, very dear. It is very, very important to us, and it is sacrosanct. It is a fundamental of who we are as the CIPM and what it is we represent and stand for. So at our events, we recite this to remind ourselves of all of these very important points. I've already said quite a bit about what that is, and so I won't bore us any further. Rather, I would like to request that we all rise up wherever we are and read this Code of Professional Conduct. Now, instructions, I will read this in phrases and I will pause. So once I pause, read after me, please. Don't read along with me, you read after me so that it can be orderly. I will read in phrases, then I will pause. Once I have paused, please read the section I have read after me. And then in the second paragraph, you will see where you have the dot, the space. When I read, I will state my own name. When you read, kindly do not state my name, as you are not me. If you state my name, that will be impersonation. But I know that's not what you're doing. That's just a joke. So when we get to the second paragraph and where you see the space, you will read your own name and then we shall continue. So please read after me when I pause. The Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, as the apex regulatory body for human resource management practice in Nigeria.
The Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, as the apex regulatory body for human resource management practice in Nigeria,
is committed to the highest possible standards of professional conduct and competency among its members.
Is committed to the highest possible standards of professional conduct.
Is committed to the highest possible standards of professional conduct and competency amongst its members.
Therefore, as a member of the Institute,
Therefore, as a member of the Institute,
I, Busola Alofe, pledge that I shall at all times
I, Sean Olamode Badiru, pledge that I shall at all times
carry out my duties and responsibilities with integrity and diligence,
carry out my duties and responsibilities with integrity and diligence,
demonstrate competence and ethical behavior in all my business, professional, and personal activities,
demonstrate competence and ethical behavior in all my business, professional, and personal activities.
Can we unmute the participants, please?
Okay. Okay, our distinguished participants, you could please unmute yourself.
King, can you please Okay.
Done, ma'am.
Continue. Therefore, you need to name. Therefore, as a member of the institute, I pledge that I shall at all times.
Therefore,
as a member of the institute, I, Olusi Adetoye,
I, Florence Olaya Samuel,
carry out my responsibilities with integrity and diligence.
carry out my duties and responsibilities with integrity and diligence.
Demonstrate competence and ethical behavior in all my business, professional, and personal activities.
Demonstrate competence and ethical behavior in all my business and personal activities.
Respect the laws of the land. Promote, encourage, and place acceptable processes and procedures practice of human resource management in my sphere of influence.
All encourage and implement acceptable policies and procedures in the practice of human resource management within my sphere
in the practice of human resources management within my
Endeavor to make all options.
To make personal decisions
after considering all options, which
resignation may be in defense
of this code of conduct
of this
of my job
in my professional applications, positions,
conflicts between my professional obligation and the expectations of my
Okay, thank you for that presentation. We are grateful that you helped us to manage that. Thank you again, distinguished registrar and chief executive officer of our dear institute. We are grateful that you created time out of your busy schedule to join us in this meeting. We are progressing in this meeting, and right about now, we want to hear the welcome address from our chairman, the distinguished chairman of the branch. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, please, let's put it together for Al-Haji Adedunton Abubakar, ECIPM, as we welcome him to give the welcome address. Alhaji Adedunton, over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Bodeshan. Without wasting most of our time, please, I'd like to begin the welcome address of the President and Chairman of Council, Mr. Olusegun Mojeed, FCM, the Registrar and CEO, Ms. Busola Alufe, MCIPM, the #1 human resource manager in the state, and conference chairperson, the head of service, Alaja Selmo Olatoji Otun. The guest speaker, Mr. Victor Famuyibo, FCIPM. Respected discussants, Mr. Dan Zugle, Permanent Secretary, Bureau of Service Matters, FCIPM. Mr. Bisiolu Aziz, ACIPM. Mr. Felix Igogo, MCIPM. The past chairman of the branch and executive members, the chairman and members of the conference committee, the chairman RCCG chapter, Ota chapter, and the upcoming Agbara chapter, fellow practitioners here present, the entire members of the state branch, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, Ogun State Branch, I welcome you all to the 7th annual conference. The need for conferences is usually to bring together area of experts to diagnose on issue of concern and challenges encountered in human endeavor with a view to prefer solution. As earlier mentioned, the theme, workplace challenges in the new world of work, the need for reskilling, is a typical example. This topic is carefully researched into, bearing in mind the sudden change in the world. The change the world was plunged into by the pandemic of COVID-19. This phenomenon has remained with us since then, and as well be influencing our business and economic activities. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no doubt that this new world or change that we are experiencing has come to stay. The mode of holding this year's conference is an example of the paradigm shifts we are talking about. In order to constantly remain in business, maintain operational goals and aspirations, professionals in human resource practice will need to play some role. There's need to innovate, engage, and empower the workforce with new skills to keep up with the new trends. Dear participants, in selecting this conference theme, we look forward to the speakers aligning with the technology, health, politics, marketing, registration, etc. How it will affect workers and workplace. In view of this, we have painstakingly selected our guest speaker and the discussants, which cut across public and private and public sector, to do sufficient justice to this topic. Going by the profile of the guest speaker and our respected discussants, I have no doubts in my mind that the conference will be loaded with lots of knowledge that at the end, participants will leave with value-added experiences. Before I end my welcome address, I want to leave us with a statement of Henry George, US economist. He said, "We cannot safely leave politics to politicians or political economy to college professors. The people themselves must think because the people alone can act." End of quote. Therefore, professional colleagues, I wish to implore us to listen with rapt attention and enjoy the conference. I thank you all for listening. The moderator, I hand back to you.
Okay, thank you very much for that welcome address. Again, let's give a round of applause to our distinguished chairman of the branch, Alhaji Adedunton Abubakar. Right about now, we want to look at CIPM and you. And to facilitate this session, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, please let's welcome our zonal officer, Mrs. Sheyi Musa Semugana. Mrs. Semugana, please. I've
Okay,
made your 3 devices. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, the system was telling me that I should allow, that the host should allow me to unmute. So sorry for joining late, sir. Please, I would like to share my screen right now.
Are you sharing from your end, or we should help you share from here?
I'm sharing from my end.
All right.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Oluwaseyi Semugana, and I'll be presenting to you the Cipm membership value proposition. Kindly permit me to stand on existing protocol. Today, the Director of the People Experience and Market Development of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria is unavoidably absent today because he's actually the one to present the membership value proposition. So I'm standing in the gap for him.
Sorry, excuse me. Could you please lower the volume of your device? It's echoing back to us. Just lower the volume of that device. Thank you.
Okay, is this the echoing?
We're good.
Okay, you're good. Okay, no problem. Thank you very much. So as I was saying, I will be presenting the membership value proposition of the Cipm to everyone on behalf of the Director of People Experience and Market Development of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria. Please permit me to stand on existing protocol. The registrar and CEO of the Institute has actually said a lot about Cipm and the value proposition of the Institute. So I will be speaking on the reasons why you need to be a member of the Institute and the various routes that we have for membership. So I know that many people will have a question in their minds, why should I join Cipm? So I'll be explaining this on 3 different levels. The first one is on the functional level, which means that as a member of the Institute, you have access to a network of competencies, resources, and strong knowledge base. Then on the emotional level, you'll be respected and your professional self-worth will be enhanced by the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria. Then on self-expressive platform, you have strong endorsement and status in your profession. So I'll be explaining this more in the next slides. So how the different routes of membership, we actually have 3 membership routes of membership in the Cipm. The first one is examination routes, the second one is experience routes, and the third one is corporate membership. The examination routes are for those who do not have years of experience in human resource management practice, while the experienced route is for those who have years of experience and can meet up with the criteria for membership via the practitioner's route, while the corporate membership route is for organizations. So for the examination route, we have 6 stages. We have foundation 1, we have foundation 2, we have intermediate 1, we have intermediate 2, we have professional examination 1, and we have professional examination 2. So the stage you're going to start from actually depends on your highest level of education and your course of study. So for the foundational examination, as I mentioned earlier, we have foundation 1 and we have foundation 2. So once, for those who will be coming in through this foundation examination route, the certificate you'll be getting after foundation 2 is a foundation training certificate in HRM, while those who will be coming in through the professional examination, that's intermediate 1 or intermediate 2 or maybe in PE1, are those who have degree in related courses, either degree or HND in related courses, like maybe they have background in social sciences or humanities. So for these people, once they're done with the professional examination 2, you'll be getting professional certificate in human resource management and associate membership certificates. And once you get all these certificates after your induction, you also have access to human resource practitioner's license, which is renewable every 3 years. And it's not automatic, it's based on your ability to be able to meet up with the criteria for the renewal. And one of the reasons why we brought up the human resource practitioner's license is to ensure that human resource practitioners update yourselves regularly during the course of practice. So for the experienced practitioners route, we actually have the HR practitioners route and the executive route. For the HR practitioners route, the criteria includes minimum of HND or bachelor's degree or its equivalent, demonstrable competence in core areas of human resource management, then minimum of 7 years post-graduation experience, 5 of which should be in HR or admin at supervisory or managerial level. But for those who have more experience than coming through executive route, if you have minimum of HND or bachelor's degree or its equivalent, or demonstrable competence in core areas of human resource management, or minimum of 12 years post-graduation experience, 6 should be in core HR administrative experience, and 5 of which must be at senior management or executive level and in a cross-functional management role. Then we have category A for the academias, that's under HR practitioners route, for the academias and military or paramilitary. And we have the category B for those who will be coming in through, for the academias or those in military or paramilitary that will be coming in through the executive route. So if you're interested in being a member of the Institute, you can visit our website, www.cipmnigeria.org, and read through the information on the website so as to be able to have more information on the criteria for membership and apply. And if you're having challenges while applying, you can easily contact the CIPM. The contacts are on the website, and you can also contact the zonal office. So now I'll be explaining to you the individual benefits of being members of the Institute. Well, the first one is to be able to have access to transcripts for international travels or for work. So if you're in need of transcripts, you can easily get it from us. Then another benefit of being a member of the Institute is the member job loss insurance scheme, which is an initiative of the leadership of the Institute to support those who lose their job on the basis of upholding the core values and ethics of the Institute. Then another benefit of being a member of the Institute is access to HR Life solutions, access to HR subject matter experts, and the likes. Then another advantage is access to our e-library, which you can easily access in as much as you're able to pay your annual subscription up to date. Then another benefit is the access to professional resources, because as an institute, as a professional institute, we conduct researches. So you'll be able to have access to the works of the institute, research, and every other activities that we conduct as a professional body. Then another benefit is excellent networking opportunities, because in the institute, we conduct various activities such as conferences, HR fora, and examinations and the like. So even we have a virtual learning hub that you can have access to. And whenever you are writing our exams, or maybe when you're participating in HR activities, you'll be able to have access to other HR professionals within the country and even outside the country. Then also we have access to discounted career learning programs, etc. So the next item is advantage of corporate membership. The first advantage is that you have access to learning and development programs. The organization will have brand visibility, will showcase your organizations in every of our activities or any of our programs. Then advocacy, then brand credibility. You also have, you'll be able to have access to business tools and resources, because we have HR professionals even outside the country, both nationally and internationally, that you can have access to their resources and the HR experts. Then also we have business collaboration referrals, and we also have business network. You'll be able to have network with other businesses in the HR world. Then the next slide here, I'll be speaking to you on a virtual learning hub. For the virtual learning hub, you can gain access to it even on our website, but there are a series of trainings that we conduct for HR professionals that you can use for upgrade, you can use to become members of the Institute. If you want to develop your career, for the career development, you can actually visit our website for the various courses that we have. In October, we'll be having like about 6 courses, which are listed here. So some of them are like 5 modules, 8 modules, 6 modules. So you can check for the course title that will benefit you and register for the trainings. Then finally, the 53rd Annual National Conference of the Institute will be coming up. And the theme of this national conference is Reskilling Growing People, Growing Economies. This national conference is the largest HR event in Africa. So I will advise everyone on this call to register for this event if you haven't registered. And this event will be an hybrid event, and the physical aspects of the event will be holding at the International Conference Center in Abuja. And also, if you are interested in attending virtually, then you can go ahead. But I would advise that if you have the opportunity to attend this program physically at Abuja, please do, because we have lots of benefits in attending physically. And this conference will be holding on the 24th, from the 24th to 26th of November, 2021. And you know, as written by here, even on the flyer, you find it that physical fee covers access to all sessions, access to physical exhibition, gala and award night, soft copies of presentations, conference kits, hard copy of brochure, and networking, as mentioned earlier. So, and at this event, the 53rd Annual National Conference of the Institute, we have lots of varieties of speakers. You know, we have our HR group, Dave Ulrich, we'll be having Sharon Makada and Victor Adebayo, you know, all of them that are going to be at the national conference. So if you have not registered for this conference, I actually encourage you all to kindly register for the conference because it will be of great benefit to all. Thank you very much for listening, and I wish the Ogun State branch a successful conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So right about now, we want to take a remark from two distinguished individuals. One on behalf of the head of service, Ogun State, Alaja Selimot Otun. We want to take a remark from Mr. Dahunsi Ogunleye on behalf of the head of service. And immediately after this, we also quickly take a remark from the Senior Director of Administration and Personnel of the Redeemed Christian Church of God globally, Olorotimi Vincent Adegboriyoye, FCIPM. So Mr. Dahunsi Ogunleye, could you please unmute? You are a co-host. Please kindly unmute, and on behalf of the head of service, please give a brief remark. Thank you.
All right, good morning, everyone. And can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, good morning once again. And on behalf of the head of service, Alaja Eso Otun, I congratulate you on this year's conference of the state chapter of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management. Nothing is better than opportunity to learn. We learn every day, and the day we stop learning is the day we die. So conferences like this afford everyone an opportunity to learn one or two things, which improves whatever we are doing, and it makes us better in our work. The head of service would have loved to speak, to be here, and to make these remarks herself, but for reasons beyond her control, she's unavoidably absent. So she sends her regards and she sends her best wishes, wishing you a wonderful and successful conference. Thank you very much. Good morning.
We want to bring to, is it the platform? What do we call this? The podium, the microphone, you know, whatever it is that we will call it. Our distinguished Senior Director of Administration and Personnel of the Redeemed Christian Church of God globally, and a fellow of the Institute, and a member of the Board of Fellows of their Institute, Pastor Rotimi Vincent Adegboriyoye, my personal mentor in life. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. I hope you are hearing me.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We want to appreciate God in the life of every one of us, particularly the executives of Ogun State Branch. I want to thank you very much for the great work that you have been doing. And we are glad to be part of this branch. I will continue to support you as much as possible. Thank God for the people that decided on this conference. I will thank God for our leaders that have decided to be part of this conference. We are felicitating with you as we pray that this particular conference will be a great success in the name of Jesus. And we are assuring you that we'll continue to back you up in all ways and at all levels. So we want to appreciate God in your lives as we keep on praying for you. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Pastor Ova, as he's fondly called, a man of principle and integrity, an embodiment of people management and administration. Like we say, may your days be long, sir. Thank you very much for joining us in this meeting. Now we have the big fish in our midst, and the president, the #1 citizen of Cipm in Nigeria and globally, the president and chairman of the governing council of our dear institute, Mr. Olusegun Mojeed, FCIPM. Distinguished colleagues, please, with a round of applause, wherever we are, kindly let's make welcome to this platform, Mr. Olusegun Mojeed.
Good morning, everyone. Sean, let me use you as the sounding board. You can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay. My distinguished chairman of the Ogun State branch. I keep saying that I wouldn't know what it means to sit on or to stand on existing protocols. Is the escape route if you don't want to begin to mention, but I will mention a few names before I say a few things. I want to also acknowledge the presence of the Ogun State Head of Service, ably represented here. I want to greet the entire executive members of the Ogun State branch. I just want you guys to know that this is home for me. I'm an Ijebu man, born and bred in the Niger Delta. To be specific, Ilaje Seudu of Ondo State. That's where I was born and grew up. But I am a solid Ijebu man. So I can tell you, Omo Ogun, Isheya, Ishema Yao. I want to say congratulations for this conference. There's no way I will move ahead of this short message without recognizing. Don't mind Sean. Sean has been earning his salary because I took special note the way he was hailing his boss. I don't blame you, Sean. You don't have another job yet. My very good friend, super friend, a pastor I respect so much, Olurotimi Vincent Degborioye, we call him Over. I appreciate your presence in this gathering. I also know that there are some executives. I saw the registrar earlier during the code of conduct, and I'm sure she's still on this call. I want to say hello. The national treasurer. In fact, I logged in first with the national treasurer's link, and it was when it was showing her name, I said, hey, Alakuba. So that kind of thing, I had to quickly move around to see. Apparently, the mail was sent, which I missed, but here we are. I want to appreciate everyone. I want to welcome and all other national officers on this call. We have quite a number of people here. At the last count, we are about 170 people and about 7 pages So I can't really go through to know who is who. However, I want you to know that I appreciate you. I want to say a few things. I'll call them 3 Ps. 3 Ps: protocol, publicity, and performance. Protocol, publicity, and performance. Upcoming, we have a branch leadership workshop this month of October. I think Saturday, October 16, to be precise. And I'm going to continue to encourage the planner. That team is headed by my vice president, Henry Onuapo, MCIPM. I'm going to continue to encourage them to make sure that they give enough publicity to that workshop so that as many as possible of branch executives will join that workshop. And one of the key things in that workshop is for us to remind ourselves again of our protocols. When we have a program like this, protocols are very, very essential. And I don't want us to begin to gloss over it. That is not what our fathers handed over to us. Protocol is an essential part of professionalism, which happens to be one of our core values. And we will continue to talk about it, especially at the branch level, until we all get it. That's what I want to say about protocol. Publicity, ladies and gentlemen, nobody wins in the dark. When we have a program like this, let us give it utmost publicity. The topic for today is so germane, is so essential that it won't be a surprise if we have 500 people logging on to this conference. But you can't believe it. I've been searching for the flyer of this program and it's taking forever to locate one. Publicity. We should not eat good food alone. Let us learn how to share these things wide. And I'm telling you, it's just about selling skill. And that's what I want to encourage everyone on this call, every HR professional, to inculcate how to sell, even selling ice to the Eskimos. We just have to, because if you cannot sell, if you are not in the business of selling, then tell me what you do. I expect that when we have such conferences, our flyers should continue to go out 24/7 so that we don't have to scroll far to get the flyer, to get the theme for this conference. That's number one. Lastly, performance. I want to encourage all of us in this conference, get your writing materials ready and make sure you are making some jottings. I know that maybe if it's a slide presentation, it will be sent to us later on. However, whatsoever you write with your hand, you don't easily forget. The area of notebooks and pen, the era of notebooks and pen can never go out of circulation. I know you have notebooks on your phone, you have notebooks on your iPad, but writing paper and pen can never go out of fashion. Whatsoever you write with your hand, you are likely to remember. So let us get our paper and our pen ready to make some jottings. And how is that related to performance? Very simple. Please apply your learning. The things you are going to get from this conference, the things you are going to hear from this conference, the things you are going to jot down from this conference. Let us leave this conference and begin to apply it. Because like the good book says that if we don't apply these things, we are like men who appear before the mirror and immediately we move away from the mirror, we forget what kind of person we are. So I want to encourage all of us, let us apply our learning. Let us enjoy this conference. Once again, Ogun branch executives, thank you very much. Your chairman was at the council meeting yesterday physically. I commend him, and now he's here again for this conference. We thank God for journey mercies, and let us enjoy this conference. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you for the fatherly advice, as we call it in the faith. It's our prayer that you go from strength to strength in the name of Jesus. On the matter of protocol, since we have heard from our father, the #1 citizen of this nation, the nation of CIPM, emphasizing the need for protocol, we will be modern protocol if we refuse to acknowledge the presence of our national treasurer, who is also a member of the National Executive Council of our dear institute. So, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, you will permit me to bring to the platform, just to say a word in a minute, the national treasurer of our dear institute, Mrs. Chidi Obejesi, MCIPM. You're welcome, ma. Please, let's put it together for her.
Good morning, Bode, and everyone, my president and chairman of council. Let me stand on already established protocols. He's smiling. Thank you very much. Mind this morning, I would not take your time. The president have said it all. I've heard our pastor over speak and everyone. I'm actually excited today and glad to be here. I want to say congratulations to Ogun State. Congratulations for chasing us behind, for really our running mate when it comes to Lagos State. And I've been a part of Ogun State for a very long time. Thank you very much for doing this. I can't wait to hear our own past president speak. And that's why I said I'm excited today. So I won't want to bore us with many thoughts. We'll just be here. We need to learn from him. We need to hear him once more. A lot of knowledge stuck in there. So thank you for bringing him on board to speak with us. And we will just sit back and take the cue from him, just listen to him. Thank you, everyone. Congratulations once more. And please, like my president says, take your pen, get ready to learn, and just keep writing as he speaks. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day. Thank you.
Thank you, ma.
Sean,
God bless
over to you.
You know, in my native language, we call her 3.5 woman. Thank you very much for gracing this occasion. So the time we have been waiting for is finally here. And distinguished colleagues, we have in our midst this morning.
Before that time, my hand is raised.
Oh, you have the floor, sir.
The reason I've been looking for the flyer, and I mentioned that under publicity, it will be pure harakiri. You know what that means in Japanese? I won't translate it here. For me, if I fail to recognize the past president that will be speaking today. For as many of you that have my book, is a man who wrote the foreword to the book, Growing People. He's an excellent HR practitioner. You will introduce him later, but I owe myself this privilege to say, to personally welcome to this conference, Mr. Victor Famuyibo, FCIPM. For those of you who don't know, his nickname is Shine Shine Bobo. So I just thought I should welcome him, and I'm so glad he's speaking at this conference today. If nothing, I have the IFTIDO AGM also today, virtual, but I am going to go late to that AGM, and I will stay hooked on this, if not for anything else, for the fact that he's the one speaking today. He's been my benefactor over the years. He's been a mentor, and I want to sincerely welcome him. as the president and the chairman of the governing council of CIPM. Sir, once again, you are welcome. I know you will still be introduced, but I want to personally welcome you. I owe you that. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much for recognizing a distinguished guest speaker for this occasion. We also have in our midst this morning an elected council member of our dear institute. We're not bringing him on board yet. We'll bring him on board later on to just give a 1-minute goodwill message to us. Prince Adeniyi Aromolaran is an elected member of council. He has left all he's supposed to attend to today just to join us in this meeting. So this is a powerful house, is a powerful meeting, powerful conference we are having today. Indeed, the entire leadership of CIPM is here. So at the appropriate time, we will bring Mr. Prince Adeniyi Aromolaran on board to give a goodwill message. Because hands have been itching, my pen is already here, ready to jot plenty of things down. So we want to bring to platform our distinguished guest speaker for today, who will be doing justice to the theme of the conference. So distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, you will permit me to read now the profile of our distinguished guest speaker. Mr. Victor Famuyibo, FCIPM, studied sociology at the University of Ibadan from 1976 to 1979. He obtained a master's degree in public administration from the University of Lagos and later studied law in the same university. He was called to the Nigerian bar in 1996. Following a 6-year HR work experience in a private company in Lagos, Victor joined Nigerian Breweries in 1986 as personnel manager. Initially at headquarters Lagos, he later transferred to Kaduna as a brewery personnel manager. He returned to Lagos headquarters to assume a new position as job evaluation manager. In preparation for his new role, Victor had a 6 months on-the-job attachment to the UAC Remuneration Advisor and the Unilever UK Remuneration Department. He attended remuneration techniques workshop at the Unilever head office in Blackfriars, London. Complemented by on-the-job attachment in the personnel department of various Unilever production sites in the UK, Victor's function was enlarged to combine job evaluation and remuneration, thus becoming the first HR specialist in the company's history to head the reward function. Much further into his job evaluation career, Victor attended several Hay job analysis evaluation workshops in London, Paris, and Cape Town, thus becoming one of the first Hay certified job evaluation specialists in the Nigerian HR community. Victor was later appointed Industrial Relations Manager. In this role, he managed employee relations, collective bargaining, employee engagement, HR policy development, and related matters at corporate level. He was subsequently appointed Manpower Development and Training Manager with responsibility for management, recruitment, career planning, talent management, learning and development. As Manpower Development Manager, he developed and implemented the Nigerian Breweries Campus Management Initiative, CMI, now one of the key pillars for attracting bright young Nigerian graduates into the organization. He also developed and implemented a performance appraiser calibration system to ensure objectivity and transparency in the company's appraisal process. In 2002, Victor was seconded to Heineken corporate headquarters in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. While in Amsterdam, he worked first as human resource consultant in the global team of Heineken Hay job evaluation specialist, Subsequently, he was appointed HR Policy Development Officer, Manager Corporate Social Responsibility for Africa and Middle East. And lastly, as Human Resource Director, Africa Middle East. In this last role, he supervised the HR function across Heineken operations in the region, traveling extensively in Central, West, and North Africa, as well as the Middle East. He returned to Nigerian Breweries in October 2008 to assume the role of Human Resource Director. Whilst on cross-posting in Holland, he was privileged to lead core HR projects in East and Central Europe, the Netherlands, Switzerland, and North Central and West Africa. Victor attended executive and senior HR leadership development programs, including the Unilever General Management course at 4 Acres, Surrey, UK, Cornell University, Utica, New York State, IMD Lausanne, Switzerland, London Business School in the United Kingdom, and Harvard Business School, Boston, Massachusetts, USA, amongst others. A fellow of Adia Institute, the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, Victor served actively in the various organs of the Institute for many years and eventually was elected president and chairman of the governing council of our institute from 2013 to 2015. He is married and blessed with 4 wonderful children. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's my singular honor this morning to bring to this platform a distinguished guest for today, Mr. Victor Famuyibo. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Pleasure to be with you. And good morning. May I have the floor now?
Yes, sir. You have the floor, sir.
Am I able to share my screen?
Please go ahead. You can share your screen now, sir.
Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. We can see your screen, sir.
Yes,
very
sir.
good. Very good. Okay. All right. So once again, good morning, everyone. Good morning, distinguished delegates. I want to join other speakers first to welcome our dear President and Chairman of Council, Mr. Olusegun Mojeed. I say good morning to you, sir. And
good morning, sir.
I don't think at a public forum I've had the opportunity to congratulate you on your successful election to this high office. I wish you success as you steer the affairs of our dear institute. I also want to acknowledge the presence of our CEO. Good morning to you, Madam, and as well as our National Treasurer. Straight on, I will acknowledge the host chairman of the branch, Ogun State Chairman, Alhaji Adeduton. Good morning to you, as well as the ESCO of Ogun State and the PPCAs in Ogun State. I also acknowledge the great work already put together by the Conference Planning Committee and for reaching out to me way back. I think it will be not less than 3 or 4 months, which shows that real good planning went into today's event. Congratulations. Yeah, the day is here, and I just wish you a very successful conference. My courtesy is also to the head of service, ably represented at this event, the permanent secretaries who are in our midst. I also would like to formally welcome our fellows in the house, members of the Institute Associates, and aspiring associates of the Institute, by the way, distinguished ladies, gentlemen, of course, forget the gentlemen and ladies of the fourth estate of the realm, if they are listening or they're joining this session, they need it. So I congratulate the chairman and members of Ogun State on the 7th annual branch conference, and my best wishes for success for today, but also beyond today, because the whole idea of a conference is so that we can come together and share some learning. And we want that, but it will be translated into practicalities so that as you go back to your various workplaces, you're able to bring some new learning that will help you impact the work that you do. And people then see that indeed CIPM adds value, and by extension, we get traction in various organizations. I want to also give my gratitude to the chairman and the planning committee for inviting me to speak. I mean, I don't take it for granted. I mean, that I have been past president and chairman of council is no meal ticket, it's no free ticket to barge in and start speaking to the greater audience. By last count, I saw about 170 participants. That's a very large group. Although I also believe, like our president, that we can do more. Ogun State, next to Lagos, is about the most industrialized state in the south of Nigeria, as it were. So really and truly, we can do more than the 170. We have a good participation. I congratulate you for that. And I'm happy to be your speaker for today. Because the topic is workplace challenges in the new world of work. In the new world of work, the need for reskilling. And that's what we'll try to cover in the next 1 hour, 45 minutes. That's what I have. I don't know if the time allocation would change. The amble, but probably so. Please send me a chat so that I know that I don't have all of that time. I have put together slides that we may not go into the nitty-gritties of all of the slides, because I think I have about 50 odd slides. As you know, if we have to speak through each of those slides, then we are in for a 3 or 4 hour session. So what I'm going to do is to safely assume that I'm speaking to very experienced colleagues. In those cases. And so if I'm rushing through some of the slides, it's just because we are all on familiar territory. But if a chance there is something you would like me to expatiate on, please just send me a chat, or at the end of the presentation, you can then put it into the Q&A, the questions and answers. I hope that is a good way to go. Somebody just wave so that I know that we're good to go, so we can then start the presentation.
We're good to go, sir.
Yeah, we can go. Thank you, Sean. So I go on now quickly to the agenda page, because it's always good to set the tone by understanding what we want to cover today. The topic is very apt. It's about the new world of work that suddenly we all have been thrown into. Some are struggling, some are happy campers in this new world of work. Some are they're good to go with it, Others are like, why is this train moving so fast? Just when I have learned some new skills, suddenly I'm finding that those skills are becoming outdated. Why is it going so fast? Can't we just slow it down a little bit? Those are things that we will cover in this. What I think you will have the opportunity to explore and understand. So first is about the global economic trends. We need to situate this topic in the global economy, global and local economy, really. We need to understand that we are in the midst and the middle of a VUCA world, and that there's a shift in the work. So that's where we'll be starting from. Then we'll look at current trends in business and technology, and go on quickly to look at the nature of work itself. The new world of work, the human resource as the most important asset, and why it must be planned for strategically. So we cannot afford to live under assumptions anymore, because the world of work that we're dealing with now is so fast moving. It's so different from the traditional world of work, and therefore planning, and you know who is in charge of planning? It's us, the HR community. So we need to be very strategic in the way we plan for the human resource. We'll look at factors shaping the evolution of the new world of work, some challenges as well as opportunities. The changing role of HR, how to transform the HR agenda for relevance in the new world of work. Because we have to stay relevant. If we don't make concerted effort as HR practitioners to stay relevant, then we will go into extinction. And if we think that our practice, our profession cannot go into extinction, we can mention examples of professions that are now endangered species or have even gone into extinction. So it is well possible. And that's why emphasis should be on transforming our practice, our agenda. Then how do we compete for smart young talents in this new world of work? One of the central things that I would like to focus on is employee engagement as a tool for talent retention. Because if you compete appropriately and you're able to attract those young minds, those young talents, the question is, how do you keep them? How do you keep them away from migrating to Canada, or just going to do their own thing to freelance? You need to also come up with engagement practices that will help you to keep your talents. So this is the agenda, and I will now go quickly into the next page, which is about VUCA, familiar territory for each and every one of us. Some acronym that had been there, I would say, going about 20, 25 years now, but it is becoming more and more relevant in today's world of work. So we're talking of volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. That's VUCA. As you remember, VUCA was coined by the US military back in the days when they were confronted by unusual developments in the external wars that they were fighting: Afghanistan, Iraq, Kuwait. And they got in there thinking it was going to be a walkover, a walk in the park. But they found that things can be very, very different. And that was how they coined the acronym VUCA, that it's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And as quickly as that came on, the business community found that, look, this acronym applies even better or more to the business environment that we were dealing with at the time. But I tell you, compared to the time when they thought VUCA was it, I think now VUCA is our new normal that we need to deal with. So really and truly, VUCA is very, very, very apt and something that we should keep in our mind. So volatility, where it's unstable and hard to predict, we have to be prepared to match investments to risk. So complexity, volatility, ambiguity, and uncertainty. And that's what we are having to deal with. What has compounded it even more for us now is the global pandemic. I mean, maybe the only time in living memory that the whole world was affected by the same event, that is health challenge, was way back in 1918. And it was about 100 years plus later that the global pandemic happened. And it started as something that would go away. Oh, even the US president at the time, Donald Trump, said, no, this will come and it will just go away. It will be like pouring water on the back of a duck and the thing will just go away. But now it's almost 2 years later, and you and I know what this has done to the whole world. There was a time when no planes were flying anymore. No ships were sailing on the sea. Everybody just stay where you were. Even where you were not allowed to go home. You could not socialize. You could not go to work. And some countries are still living with that situation. And now, the point is, the pandemic coming on top of a world of work that was already changing very fast has even become, it has thrown everything overboard. Some good sides to the pandemic, however, as you know. For example, here we are today delivering a conference, giving a seminar. We do training, we do meetings, we work virtually. We have the pandemic to thank for that, as you know, because then it was unthinkable. You had to jump in the plane to fly from Lagos to Abuja or to Port Harcourt to go and attend a 1-hour meeting, by the way. You had to jump in the plane and fly 6 hours to the UK or to somewhere in Europe or to the Americas or to Asia just to go and have a business meeting. Today, the pandemic has taught us a lesson in a hard way, but as you know, we're all beneficiaries of it now, because suddenly we realize that we can do a whole lot by being where we are. We can join meetings virtually, we can do training, we can do conferences, and so on and so forth. I move on quickly to the global economy. The prediction is that the global economy will return to pre-pandemic levels in 2022, hopefully next year. As we can see, many countries are now trying to open up their economy, even at the risk of a few people lying sick in hospital or a few people even dying. The famous quote of Boris Johnson of the UK when he was being challenged for wanting to open up the economy faster than necessary, given the pandemic realities. And he said, you know what, before the pandemic, people were dying. So I'm going to open it up, because if I don't, the consequences that we will have to deal with will be too severe to bear. And therefore, yeah, a few people will die. Too bad. I'm not happy about it, but we're going to open up. So the OECD revised its global GDP forecast to 5.8% in 2021 from the 4.2% in December. Global growth of 4.4% in 2022 will bring most of the world back to pre-pandemic levels. The optimistic outlook will allow global economies to switch from blanket emergency support to targeted measures. Of course, recovery will be uneven across markets, across the divide of developed world and less developed or developing world. Yeah, so let's keep going. I just want to very quickly, thank you, Chidi. I see you typing. I want to quickly now situate this in Nigeria and give just a little bit of economic update in Nigeria. With the lockdown that we experienced, the sectoral impact was, depending on where you were by sector. Some had it very negative, others moderate, and some even positive. Some made money as a result of the lockdown, as you remember. So the ones that were most impacted were the airlines and transportation, entertainment. I mean, we're not allowed to go to the cinema, event centers were all locked down, and so on and so forth. Hotels, restaurants, and travel, those were really, really down. But on the positive side were the technology and communication. So everything techie was good to go during the pandemic. They made so much money, really. Agric and agro-allied, because people still had to eat. Healthcare and telemedicine. Obviously, I mean, if people will forsake, even the pandemic itself was about health, so there was money to be made. The laboratories were smiling to the bank on account of COVID-19 PCR tests. Virtual education had an update, exports, food and household essentials, and so on and so forth. So really and truly, yes, majority of businesses were hard hit, but we also still had some that had the positive rebound from the COVID-19 lockdown. And if you look at the GDP outlook, it's not looking terrible. Obviously, you will say that even 2.5% for a country where inflation runs at about 17% is under development, really. But if you also consider the fact that we went into recession with the global lockdown, the local lockdown that we did, we actually went into recession. But quickly we got out of recession. And now the prediction is that for 2021, we will do about 2.5%. And that's an IMF rating. So really and truly things are getting better. And we're just hoping that all of this will have the direct impact on job creation and impact even more positively on the world on this new world of work. that we are considering. So now let us look at the nature of work itself. Why is work so important? Why do we have to talk about it all the time? Yes, we have to do this because in the words of Linda Grattan, my professor at the London Business School, and I've experienced that over and over again, fantastic woman, a thought leader. She says work is one of the most defining aspects of our lives. So whether we like it or not, that is what really defines us. Can you imagine if you don't have a job, you don't have a place of work to go to, how you feel, but how your family feel, how the community feels about you? Work is one of the most defining aspects of our lives. Work is where we meet our friends and where we excite ourselves. And work is where we feel at our most creative and innovative. I mean, for all of those decades that I worked in an industry that was about creating enjoyment, because that's what we pride ourselves of, that we create enjoyment for people, but we also enjoyed ourselves, because not only did we work hard, but we also create opportunities to play hard by having, opportunities to test our products at the end of the day's job. You can congregate with your colleagues. You can bring your friends into the pub, into the bar, and just generally enjoy yourself and be, create some excitement. Work is where, at least where I work, and I'm sure for many of you where you work, is where on Friday, you feel a little bit down because you're not coming back on Saturday, for example. And on Sunday evening, you just get this boost of energy because you're going back tomorrow. That is the nature of work, particularly where the enabling environment for you to enjoy what you do and to enjoy the company of others is created. And HR comes at the center stage for creating that enabling environment. So work is where we feel at our most creative and innovative. Work is where we can feel our most frustration as well and exasperation, as you know. Because sometimes you're not getting it right, or sometimes something just breaks down in relationship with a colleague, with a subordinate, or even with your boss. And the frustration is there. And it's like, oh my God, what is going on here? Work matters to us as individuals, to our family, to our friends. And work matters to the communities and societies that we live in. These are not my words. These are all coming from Linda Grattan, like I said, a renowned professor of management at the London Business School. So before I go on, it's always good to do a pulse check. And do we have any questions? I see 32 chats in the chat room. I don't know if these are all for me or they are coming from before now. Let me just do a quick check. Okay. Oh, okay. Is it on slideshow? No? Let me see. I think it's on slideshow. Ah, okay. All right, yeah, it's on slideshow. Thank you for that. Any other comment? Okay, all right. So let's keep going. Understanding the new world of work. The past 30 years have seen a dramatic shift in the developed world. So from agriculture and industrial manufacturing to a service-based economy. So you find that shift, particularly in the developed world. Of course, the less developed world, we're still struggling. So there's still a whole lot of manual-driven processes, and we're still, even agriculture is still essentially very manual. We're not at the level of automation in our industry that you will find in other climes. But if you go to some advanced countries, yeah, there is that shift. You will notice it is very apparent. And that is because automation has taken the center stage. And because there's automation, you are able to do large quantities with automated machines. And therefore, what you do is moving more of your jobs into services. And that's what you find. And I think more and more, our country will also be moving in that direction. As you can see, even today, there are more jobs in the techie, fintech areas of our economy that are being created. Unlike when we enter the world of work, I remember then our neighborhood around Ogun, there were all kinds of small, medium-sized, and large factories around there. At the close of work, you found these ladies who worked in those factories trooping to the bus stop in their hundreds. That has since changed. And not that there is no productivity, there's still production going on, but there is a whole lot of automation that has taken place. And more jobs are now being created in the service-based economy rather than core manufacturing. So the value of ideas and information, expertise and insights equals or exceeds that of goods. Take the United Kingdom for example. 85% of GDP is now derived from services. Now derived from services, 85% of GDP. Can you imagine? And imagine that someday Nigeria will get to that point. And who says we would not? It's not so far-fetched. You may think that, oh no, this is not coming in the next 100 years. You may be wrong, because it can come in the next 10 years, for example, at the rate we're going. So between 1950 and 2000, the proportion of the working population employed in services more than doubled. And manufacturing provided only 60 to 40% in 1950. So you can see that shift. And I'm believing very strongly that whether we like it or not, this same shift will come our way sooner than later. Yeah. So raw materials have been displaced by information as a key driver in many industries. Information is the new raw material. That's why we talk about ICT, information, communication, and technology, ICT. That is the new engine for growth everywhere. Not really raw material. Raw material is very good, yes. We will get the raw materials and put it through some automated processes. But what is key is information. And information has become a commodity. It has become a commodity. Some key drivers of the changes in the new world of work. And so one is increasing global integration. The world is becoming like a global village now. I mean, something happens in Australia, down under, that's what we call them. In New Zealand, down and under. And in a twinkle of an eye, even though time difference between New Zealand and Nigeria is, I think, 12 hours, in a twinkle of an eye, everybody in Nigeria gets to know it immediately, almost instantly. So the world has since become a global village. There is widespread adoption of ICT and digitalization. And the ones that are even getting more into that center state now are artificial intelligence, AI, as well as robotics engineering. Because you go into some factories in the developed world today, and all night, nobody is there, but the robots are working. And you come back in the morning, a car or several cars are already assembled by robots, not by human beings. They have been programmed and they know precisely what to do. And that is coming, whether we like it or not. Now, you may then be worried that, will this not displace the human being as the preferred provider of labor? Well, maybe yes, but somebody has to create the robots also. Artificial intelligence will not happen on its own. It will be also human being. Digitalization, ICT. So it is only a shift. It is only a shift. There is nothing to worry about. So the traditional work practices that you and I grew up with, that we knew, are only now shifting into something different. And that is why at the end of this, we'll be talking about how do we get those smart cookies, those smart young minds who can come and add this value to our organization. Dramatic innovations created by sharing knowledge and opening up of new markets. A lot of dramatic innovations. So I just wanted to share this quote by Peter Drucker, the familiar thought leader that you and I know, in a book way back in 1999. So you can see that these guys can see the future better than most other people. And he says, it is certain that the emergence of the knowledge worker and of the knowledge worker's productivity as key questions will, within a very few decades, bring about fundamental changes in the structure and nature of the economic system. And that's what we are going through now, and that's what we are discussing this morning. Keys to the new world of work. One world of business. So staying competitive in a fast-moving global market by empowering creative people. Creativity is the answer. You need to look for creative people, but not just to look for them. You have to create the enabling environment that will help them to thrive. Because if, as HR, we preside over an HR practice where people are clobbered for making their first mistake, you will never have creative people thrive in that kind of organization. If we have an environment, business environment with an HR colleague in place who cannot convince top management that, look, people should be allowed to make some honest mistakes, and it's only when the mistakes are repeated that we should then unleash some disciplinary process on them. But if it is for every mistake, you have to pay a and they stay with the familiar, because then they say, you know what? You are not allowed to make a mistake. So let me just do what they expect me to do. They will stop being creative. Help organizations adapt quickly and creating worldwide networks to build sustainable global businesses. Keys to the new world of work. Always on, always connected. So connectivity is absolutely key. Creating choices about when and where people work. When I was personnel manager, not HR manager, because unlike many of the people we're speaking with today, I started my career as personnel manager. Many of you simply came into the world of work as HR manager. Familiar, yeah? But even before me, there were people who entered the HR profession as staff manager. Some entered as labor and staff manager. I'm just telling you about the evolution of our HR practice and where we are today. Now we have really come a long way. But it's not enough to be happy that we've come a long way. We really have to work in a new world of work and create an HR practice that enables people to come up with their best in this new world of work. We must create choices for people about when they have to work, about where they should work. Just a few years back, that was impossible. You must report for duty at Igomu House, 7:30, and you cannot close until 4:30. In some places, it's 8 o'clock, in some it's 9 o'clock till 5. And that was it. You had no choice. And HR was wired in that way. And we're saying now that HR should open up its mind and start thinking differently. How can you create choices for people, but also allowing them to manage their communication and information in a world of ubiquitous and accessible data? Keys to the new world. Transparent information and not only improve operational performance and relationships within the supply chain, it helps reduce the need for costly and intrusive regulation, then workforce evolution, and so on and so forth. Let me not go through the full list. Factors shaping the evolution of one of them, demographic change, technological innovation, and the rise of information work. So when you look at demographic change, the global workforce is aging at an unprecedented rate, not Nigeria, really, because we have a very youthful, very young population. But globally, they don't have that luxury. Why? Because for many years, they have shut down their baby factories, as it were. So you find that more and more, and then people are living longer. So they live longer, and when they retire, they have only few people replacing them. And it's those few people replacing them who will then have to support their pension, this pension of the ones who have retired. So that is becoming an issue. Scarcity of qualified applicants, and I'm saying qualified applicants. If you're looking for applicants, you will get them in their millions. You get them in their millions. But qualified applicants, the ones who will be receptive to training, and when they have been trained, who can deliver value to your organization. You need to make up for a shrinking workforce by increasing the productivity of your employees. You need to improve on their productivity. Let's go on to the next slide. Factors shaping the evolution of the workforce, continuing. Technological innovation and the rise of information work. ICT gives workers faster, less expensive, and more effective ways to create everything. I wish ICT was at this level when we entered the world of work about 3-4 decades ago. Because I remember in those days, the only means, and we had, I remember maybe we had about 4 or 5 operating units across the country. The fastest way of communicating with those units outside the country, outside the headquarters, was by radio. So we had a radio room, and if you wanted to deliver a message to Aba, you wrote the message. Every manager or senior manager had some codes that you can, because you don't want the radio room operator to know the kind of message that you were delivering to Aba. So you use some codes, and the manager at the other end also had the same codes. So you gave it to the radio room operator, who then called his radio room operator colleague in Aba. Aba, come in for Lagos, over. And when Aba then say, reading you, then Lagos will pick it up and then will dictate the message. The other guy took it down and then took it to the manager concerned. If it was a confidential message, the manager brought up his codes and then he deciphered it. That was how we communicated. You may say that we ran them successfully. That when we wrote letters, because everything had to be in a letter form, sometimes it took about 2 weeks to travel between headquarters in Lagos and Aba in the east before they finally got that same letter. Today, with ICT, with email, with WhatsApp, with text messages, name it, whatever. It goes so fast, it's almost instantaneous. On your WhatsApp, as you're typing, the other guy knows that you are typing, so he's waiting for your message. It's almost immediately. So ICT gives very fast access to information, less expensive and more effective ways to create everything, access to information from disparate sources and systems, and visibility into complex processes, that's PRS processes that lead to greater understanding and better decision making. And we have productivity gains, whether we like it or not, and they are immeasurable. Yeah, although it requires that we learn new skills, because all of these are being updated day in, day out, and you really have to keep up with the updates, but nothing to worry about. Training in use of software and so on and so forth, we're able to do it. So there's a whole lot of productivity gains. We reduce lead very, very quickly, real time, all the time. And these are some of the factors shaping the evolution. Challenges and opportunities in the new world of work. So closing the productivity gap is a critical objective. So in the knowledge economy, creativity is a wellspring of true productivity. I talked about this earlier, that we need to create an enabling environment for creativity to thrive. If you're not doing this as the HR head or the HR lead in your organization, you really have to think about how you're going to do it. how you're going to get people to be more creative. And I can tell you for free that many of your people are very, very creative. But the only thing stopping them from being creative in the organization are your rules and your regulations, and the fact that they have protocols to observe. How do you attend to those protocols? How do you take it down so that the creativity of your people can come up truly? It is a challenge to us as HR practitioners. Innovation alongside process excellence is a focus for forward-thinking companies and their people. If you don't innovate, competition will beat you silly. And if you try to innovate, but you are too slow in bringing your innovation to the market, competition will get to know about your ideas and they will get to the market before you. By the time you are getting there, you become a me too. And the consumers will go with your competition. So innovation is absolutely key. Creativity and innovation. Use new technologies and working practices to make people more effective and efficient in this new world of work. That is the way to go. The whole world is moving. You can't stop the world from moving ahead of you. You can only join them. And when you join them, you have to do the right things. Otherwise, at the next train stop, they will drop you at that station and move on. You really have the duty to ensure that at point in time you are on board. It's the only way to survive in this new world of work. And I think the new world of work really, I mean, we think it's moving so fast now. Come back in 5 years and let's have this same presentation and we can share ideas on the speed at which the new world of work is moving. Empower workers to create change. It is important and avoid distractions to the point that disruptive events are missed or creative new ideas dismissed because they don't fit current models or modes of thinking. Because you can also miss creative new ideas. Because you just think, no. We have a traditional model. This one does not fit, therefore out. You cannot afford to do that because the new world of work is absolutely different and it moves very, very fast. Some opportunities for business, capabilities. Invest capabilities that amplify the skills and impact of people in all roles and activities. So let your emphasis be on collaboration, networking, knowledge sharing, rapid refinement of new ideas into products, services, intellectual property, and insights. You need to think strategically about the workforce. We said that in the opening slides. Adopt a culture of corporate responsibility. Becoming independent of time and place. COVID-19 has taught us a hard lesson. So why don't you jump on it and do the best that COVID-19, because that is the only positive side to COVID-19. Don't miss out on it. It's a big opportunity for your business or your government department. I don't know about Ogun State Public Service, but I know that the Lagos State Public Service They have done a whole lot to be time and place ready. They're creating opportunities for virtual meetings, virtual meetups. They do training virtually. They do a whole lot virtually. I know that the representative of the head of service is in the house, and perhaps during the Q&A would also be able to share with us what Ogun State is doing in that regard. So the emergence of global high-speed information networks has made the physical location of certain kinds of businesses largely irrelevant. Slightly relevant now. I know that, for example, Lagos State are even trying to power the whole state. No, not the whole state, but Lagos. They're trying to power it with high-speed Wi-Fi. Cables are already being laid. And they'll bring Wi-Fi closer to your doorstep, high-speed Wi-Fi. And why can we not take advantage of that? Collaborative software, virtual meetings, affordable video conferencing, instant messaging, and so on and so forth. As collaboration tech to become more easily accessible to these dispersed employees. You know, during my time, I retired out of service about it's going 4 years now. And I remember that almost forever, I even had a project team working on work-life balance. And one of the things that they always came up with every time they had to make a presentation to me was how we were going to introduce flexi working practices, working from home, and so on and so forth. I was always the first to shoot it down. He said, no, that's not going to happen under my watch. Even though I had worked about 7 years in Europe, and I knew at the time I worked there how people took advantage of it and never abused it. But my concern always was that the knack for abuse in our country was so much that I just wasn't going to take that risk as HR director, allowing people to work from home. I never wanted to hear it. I always shut it down. But look at where we are today. Look at where we are today. Is it being abused? No. People are into it. It's now part of their DNA. They join their meetings. What I have even found since COVID-19 thrust this on us is that attendance at meetings are now even much stronger than when it was physical. I still belong to a whole lot of organizations, institutes, and so on and so forth that I support. Institute of Directors, I'm on a few boards here and there. And I compare attendance in our meetings today to attendance pre-pandemic, when you had to travel to a physical location for you to attend even a 1-hour meeting. And of course, the most popular part of every meeting in those days was apologies. Any apologies? Oh, Mr. Apologies, Mrs. Then you start struggling to even form a quorum. But today, if you call a meeting for 5 p.m., by 5:01 p.m., you check the attendance, you're already like 70–80%, meaning that now people find it more convenient and they are taking ownership and they're more responsible. So that defeats all the fears that I had when I was HR director. But indeed, the average Nigerian is a very responsible person. Just give them the enablement, create the appropriate opportunities, and they will be at their best. That's what the lesson that this has taught me. Yeah, so, but it has also allowed employers to become more flexible in the kinds of work arrangements available to workers, flexi time and so on, part-time employment, telecommuting, mobile work. Certain types of work will always require centralized facilities. No doubt about that, because if you run a manufacturing plant, obviously people have got to run the machines, so they really have to be on site. But for jobs that don't require physical presence, open up your mind as HR practitioners and start exploring how you can take advantage of the happenings in this new environment that we're in. You may also have to think of reconfiguring workspaces and hot desks. You don't need, for example, big offices anymore. You don't need that. You can create hot desks, you can create flexi arrangement. People can come in once in a week and just plug into a workstation. They don't need dedicated offices anymore. So there are all kinds of opportunities for businesses to work on. And I think by extension, even government departments need to start looking at how things can be done differently. I think it's a little bit still more traditional there for all kinds of reasons. The reasons of politics, reasons of community, but we cannot hold ourselves down to all of those excuses. We need to think how to get on the train, because there is a moving train and it is gathering energy, steam, speed. Okay, I'll just I'll move on from this. Human capabilities, we've discussed it already. Yeah. High demand for local talent, especially in the emerging markets, creating a more harmonious employer brand is very, very key. Because if you want those high-level talent, those young boys and girls, those young kids, to see you as a preferred employer, then you better ensure that you work on your employer brand and make it strong. Let it be that they are dying to join your organization. And when the opportunity is thrown at them, they hold on to it very jealously and they don't want to let go. So retention rate would also be high. Increasing the quality of candidates applying to your organization and improving internal recruitment capability, lifting the level of engagement amongst existing employees. So to understand the future world of work, because we've been talking about the new world of work, which is the one that we are experiencing now. So for us to also put things in proper perspective, it's good to also, take a gaze into the future and say, look, so many changes in just a few years. Here we are today. How is the future going to be like? Because if all of this could happen in the last 10, 20 years, what is it going to look like in the next 5 years or 10 years? So some thoughts and questions to ponder. For example, what are the potential milestone events that could affect me? What events could affect those around me? What are the factors that will influence my working life? And how could these factors play out? What should I be doing over the coming 5 years to ensure a future-proofed career? These are things that as HR practitioners, we not only should be looking at all of these questions for ourselves, but for the community that we preside over. Because HR is the conscience of the business. We are the conscience of the business. So you will have to think we're like the thought leader, we're the think tank for the business over which we preside. So I leave you with this question as we go on to the next page. And that next page will be about changing role of HR. Very quickly, feel free please to jump in with a question if you have a question. Just jump in. Never mind if you put it in the chat box. I see Isaac Yemi raising up his hand. Isaac, can you either lower your hand or unmute so you can speak? Isaac?
Please go on, sir.
Okay.
Whoever has a question should kindly drop in the chat room. We are pressed for time, and we would appreciate if whoever has a question drops it in the chat room so our distinguished guest speaker could attend to it after his session. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean. Good. So I go on to the changing role of HR. HR is shifting from focusing on the organization of the business, which we did very well in the past, to focusing on the business of the organization, because these are two different things, really. We now want to be an integral part of the thinking platform for our businesses. So we do not want that our HR is only invited in to go and do the bidding after decisions have been taken. We want an HR practice that is there at the table, not on the table. So you are there when strategy is being discussed. You make an input, you challenge yourselves, you can challenge your marketing colleague or sales colleague or finance colleague at the time that you are working on the 5-year strategic plan. And when the 5-year strategic plan is agreed, you are the HR who takes that plan away and then says, oh, in 5 years' time, we will have 2 new factories, one in the north, one in the south. What should I put together today to be HR ready for those 2 new factories? That is the HR that is focusing on the business of the organization, not the one that focuses on the organization of the business. HR is more important than ever. People are the only source of competitive advantage. That's not me, it's Watson Wyatt. People are the only source of competitive advantage. And you will, this is emphasized even more in the next slide. That's it. Okay, who muted me though? I hope you can hear me now. Right, you can take my factories, burn up my buildings, but give me people and I will bring my business right back again. That was Henry Ford. So many decades ago, saying that with people, you can create and recreate. Okay, so transforming the HR agenda, and it's about having an HR value proposition in the center. And you start with the business context, the outcomes, the HR design, and the HR accountabilities. And all of these have got to be done deliberately. It has to start from the business context. Otherwise, you get it wrong. You just have an HR that is running at parallel with the rest of the organization. You have an HR that is focused on hiring and firing. And we don't want the HR of the new world of work to operate in that way. It has to be an HR that looks at the why, the what. It looks also at the how, and it looks at the who. And with all of this, comes up with a solid HR value proposition. That is the HR that will be respected in your organization. So again, how to transform your HR value to key stakeholders. So your HR department will organize to deliver work to your key stakeholders, HR practices, HR professionals. You must focus on the competencies that HR professionals should demonstrate. You have to focus on those competencies. You do a skills inventory on yourself and your entire HR team, and list out all the HR competencies that we have been teaching ourselves, and do an inventory, a checklist to say, yes, this HR business partner OTA has this, has that, there's a gap here, this is falling short, so that you can tailor the development practices and the development offerings, L&D, appropriately. Because if you don't work with skills inventory, you get it wrong. And also keep in mind your HR analytics. How can we measure and how can we track success of HR work? Because every human activity is measurable. So let's not pretend, let's not kid ourselves. If you don't measure, what will happen is that you get busy with activities. And don't get me wrong, activities will give you a full day's work. But whether they add value to your business is a different issue. So everything that you do in HR, you must reduce them to measurables. And you keep track of success. How am I doing? Give yourself timelines and give yourself KPIs, key performance indicators, and measure how you are doing. That comes in the area of analytics, because we want your HR business to add value to the organization. Otherwise, it becomes extinct, ladies and gentlemen. Someday it becomes extinct. How does it become extinct? You just find that top management are no longer inviting you in when it matters. It's only when they have taken their critical decisions that they give you to go and implement. That is the beginning of extinction. You are no longer relevant to the new world of work. To compete effectively for bright young talents in the new world of work, HR must develop and implement an appealing employee value proposition. EVP is very, very important. Because when you look at what makes the top companies all over the world successful, it's about their EVP, having a localized employee value proposition that is attractive, that is true, so very authentic, that is credible, distinct, and sustainable. Continuously measuring the strength of their employer brand and adjusting activities accordingly, because the new world of work is a continuum. It's not static. Things are moving, and they're moving at an incredibly fast pace, and you need to keep pace with it. Otherwise, like I said earlier, the train will leave you behind. Even when you get on board the train, it can drop you off at Professor Wale Soyinka station and move on its journey to Omiadio in Ibadan without you. You don't want that to happen to your HR. Communicating what they offer talent effectively. So 3 layers in employee value proposition: inspiring purpose, engaging people, as well as attractive pay. These 3 layers are very important: the why, the how, and the what. So when you have this and you can do it right, you will get in those IT-enabled talents or geeks or heads, those young minds, the ones who will hold the backbone of the organization. Because without strong ICT backbone, now AI, artificial intelligence, and now it's about robotics. If you cannot hold those guys or even bring them in, then you're setting your talent practices onto a weak platform. So we really have to work on our EVP, employee value proposition. So how prepared are you? How prepared are you for the post-pandemic challenges of the new world of work? How prepared are you? Recent global surveys indicate that most organizations will adopt a hybrid or blended way of working. Some businesses conducted face-to-face, and other work is done remotely. Leaders who proactively plan for navigating the hybrid model will maximize the benefits and minimize any pitfalls. So you have to assess how prepared you are as a leader for virtual to hybrid work, and learn how you may need to adapt. Learn how you may need to adapt. And that's why I now ask you as HR leaders in the new world of work to measure your strengths and opportunities for improvement. Are you ready? Are you ready? So there are maybe about 4 or 5 areas that you have to focus on, and this will show whether you are on top of the situation in this new world of work, or gives you room to explore opportunities for improvement. So if you just take that pen and paper that my president and chairman of council asked you to put by your side, and just answer these questions. One on relationships. So you will find 2 boxes there. The first one will be your 1, the second will be your 2. Just give on each of these, just write relationship and then give yourself 1 or 2, depending on where you think you are, because we're asking you to now do a quick measure of your strength. And of course, by extension, to see the opportunities that are there. So on relationship management in your business or in the government department, do you struggle with helping your virtual team establish and maintain trusting relationships? Or you could improve upon helping your virtual team establish and maintain trusting relationships. Just very quickly do a 1 or 2. I'm not going to ask everybody to read out. It's just for you to ponder over. On trust, my virtual team feels comfortable raising issues or concerns with me. Yes or no? And I don't know if my virtual team feels comfortable raising issues or concerns with me. Just answer these questions very honestly, really. And we're not asking you to disclose anything. It is for you, really. It's for you. So trust is about reliability, intimacy, credibility, and orientation. The third one is accountability. Accountability, ladies and gentlemen. I measure performance by output versus activity in a virtual environment. That is the environment that this new world of work has thrusted on us. And we have to deal with it. We have to understand it. We have to understand how we are managing it. I measure my virtual team's performance by their adherence to our in-office processes. 1 or 2. So next one is also on accountability. Also on accountability. I promote a culture of accountability by empowering team members from a distance. And it's harder for me to hold people accountable when we're not all in the office. I've heard complaints from several people who say, how am I going to supervise those guys who supposedly report to me? I don't see them. I don't know where they are. I don't know what they do. I don't know if they are tending to baby crying somewhere in the other room. I don't know. I have no idea. How do I hold people accountable? And some will say, you know what? I have some tools for people to log in, and I can monitor whether they have actually logged in. And I can also spot check on them. There are tools, there are IT tools for that, by the way, where you can spot check on your team to see whether they are working, they're at their workstation that they claim to be, and they're doing what they are supposed to do. They're not just surfing the internet. Again, please answer very honestly. Motivation. I motivate my virtual team by building a sense of purpose. I find it more difficult to inspire my team in a virtual environment. in a virtual environment. And there's another one on motivation. I consistently recognize team members' contributions. Or I focus more on coaching discussions than celebrating successes. Again, for you. Then process. My team effectively communicates and collaborates in this virtual world. My team struggles with communication and collaboration now that we are no longer in person. I have a clear process for my team to raise issues. And issues on my team are raised inconsistently. Good, so these are pointers to how you are coping, how you are managing the virtual or hybrid work situation that we find ourselves dealing with in this new world of work. Just a few, one or two slides on the public service. We know that in the public sector, goals are crafted through formal and informal policy-making processes at all levels of governance, be it local, state, federal, be it parastatal, and the MDAs. And that what they set out for, unlike those of us in the private sector, where profitability is king, where we want to outdo competition, it is not the same in the public service, and we have to understand that. Because in the public service, it's about creating the greatest good for the greatest number. So you may sometimes, even on the altar of quality, you may have to take some decisions so that you can spread the joy to a lot more people. Of course, you know that quality is slightly being compromised, but you cannot afford to put all the funds into getting the highest quality because that will serve only a few. So the public service it works differently in the public service. There are other considerations. The public sector is service-oriented, while the private sector is focused on profit. And because of that, HR will differ in strategic approach. So depending on whether we're looking at the public service or the private sector. As we know, the public service is more people-oriented. It's about welfare services. They're accountable to the people, the electorate, because politicians will have to go back to the electorate once in 4 years, or maybe once in 2 years at local government level, and so on and so forth, depending on the state. So they are looking at the greatest good for the greatest number, and it's about long-term focus with short to medium-term orientation, which is the exact opposite in the private sector. Quality in the public sector is broadly defined, and like I said, a few compromises here and there. We've talked a whole lot all morning about the private sector, so let me move on. So HR principles that apply in the private sector may not necessarily apply in the public sector. I've said that. Public sector may differ significantly when studying performance, effectiveness, and efficiency. So that even as we look at the new world of work, let's all agree that applying what works in the private sector context to the public sector may be too simplistic. The public sector has characteristics that make research into HRM and performance complex and distinctive. Where do you start from? Is it the promises that the politicians, just extempore when they're on the podium at the campaign venue, that they just, put it out there to the people attending the campaign? Where do you start from in the public sector? How do you ensure that everybody gets served based on the campaign promise and knowing that you are going back at some point to renew your mandate? But nonetheless, there is much for public management scholars to learn from private sector research and vice versa. So let's not just close the options and say, you know what, this one belongs there and that one belongs there. They do not touch. No. Either way, we have a lot to learn.
Sorry, excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Please, kindly let me quickly address those that are sending me a message.
Okay.
But please, whatever questions you have, you could send it to a distinguished guest speaker directly, or you could send it to general. I know we have overshot our time, and in another 5 minutes or thereabout, our guest speaker will be doing justice to the question. So don't send to me directly, kindly send to him or send to the general platform. And we assure you that in about 5 minutes, like I said, a distinguished guest speaker will be doing justice to your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, we need just about 5 minutes or less to close the presentation, and we can then take the questions. So employee engagement, what it is not employee satisfaction. When you are able to attract those smart talents, how do you keep them? And we said in today's world of work, you need to work on your employee engagement. But more often than not, people tend to equate employee engagement to employee satisfaction. So you run an employee satisfaction survey, and you then say, hey, look at it, 80% or 90% of our people are satisfied. Because the employee may be satisfied but not go the extra mile in his work. He may be satisfied but not caring about goals achievement. He may be satisfied but looking for a new career challenge outside the organization. Yeah. Let me go on. How to recognize employee engagement, where the employees show that they care, do things without being prompted. They use discretionary effort. That is the most important. So that even without any supervision, whether they're working remotely, hybrid, in person, they apply discretionary effort to go the extra mile. And they are brand ambassador or net promoter of their organization. Employee engagement impacts customer experience and organization performance. When you get this line, you will see this one. Customer experience, yes. Benefits of having an engaged workforce: boosting performance, productivity enhancement, better quality and higher output, improved customer satisfaction, profitability enhancement, increased sales, and higher shareholder return. So you see it back on your stock price all the time. What I just want you to understand is that people do not arrive in your organization disengaged. So usually it is the events that take place after they have joined you, where you may then at some point leave them stranded. That is what leads to disengagement. Not that they arrive on day one, they were already disengaged. No, they always come in engaged. So you have to work on your offerings internally to ensure that you are able to keep. And we're looking more at those smart talents who will take you to the next level in the new world of work and in the future world of work. You cannot afford to keep recruiting and losing them to your competition or to other employers. But that will happen if you leave them stranded within the context of the organization. Okay, you will see this in the slide when it is shared. Relationships, I think we've talked about this. Trust, mutual respect, mindfulness, welcoming diversity, open communication. Those are things you need to be aware of. Again, how to build good work relationships. This will be available when the slides are shared. I just want us to remember that this year's conference is all about us today. And as we ponder over these things, let's keep asking ourselves, what is it that I bring that will be valuable to the organization in a unique way? And we're talking of something unique, something that somebody is prepared to pay money for. And you make the difference in this new world of work. So something that is difficult to imitate, something that your top management will appreciate and they will see the CIPM in you. How do you become a game changer in your organization? How do you create a valuable brand of yourself as an HR practitioner, the go-to person in the organization, the conscience of the business? To be HR of the future, you cannot afford to be just a generalist. Why? Because generalists are very, very easy to get rid of. Someday you just become irrelevant. So you have to be a game changer, somebody with some specialism that people appreciate. And you should please reflect on today's session. So even if you are not posting a question or you're not contributing, do a self-reflection. Reflect on what you have learned so far. What will you do differently when you go back to work? Just put down like 3 or 4 points and try to implement those points when you get back. And we need your commitment from this conference. What are you going to do about everything that we've talked about? What does it mean for your organization? Make 3 to 5 commitments and make it concrete. Make it concrete. Write it down. That's why the president and chairman of council was asking you to get a piece of paper and a pen, because when you write something with your hand, you tend not to forget. You will follow it up. Write it down and make a commitment. Thank you very much for listening. We can take questions now before we bring the session to a close. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much, sir, for that highly refreshing presentation. We cannot have enough of that. We are so grateful to God that we are able to reach out to you and you honored our invitation and came into this meeting. What you just delivered, sir, is a masterclass, and we should be paying you in dollars for this. But we are grateful to God that you are able to honor our invitation and deliver this, at no cost to us. Of course, we are your children, some of us your grandchildren, because you had led institute a long time ago. So I'm sure you are proud that we are here and you are with us to impact us with knowledge so that we can keep the flag flying. A fellow of the Institute, Pastor Nicholas Akinjon, said you may need to indicate the key competencies in the workplace in this dispensation.
Okay. Key competencies needed. Sir, I hope you had that question. Key competencies.
Yes, I did.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
So I think you may just attend to that and take a bow, sir.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So what I'm trying to understand is whether our fellow is talking of the key competencies for HR practitioners or key competencies for the generic.
We have HR practitioners and admin managers in this meeting.
Yeah.
More of us play the dual roles.
Sorry?
We have majorly HR practitioners, HR managers / admin officers in this meeting. So we have people playing those dual roles.
Right. Okay. So the key competencies for HR managers, admin managers, and so on.
Yes, sir.
Right. So apart from the HR core competencies that we would expect typically an HR person to have, which we can take for granted. The question is, does it have it or not? And if you don't have it, we know how to reskill for those HR competencies. And I don't think for the new world of work, what other competencies are required for survival will be on top of those HR core competencies, because those core competencies for HR practice can be taken for granted. So you're looking at the key areas of L&D, you're looking at the areas of talent management skills, you're looking at the area of reward. That is the one that most HR people shy away from, because typically HR people don't like numbers. They don't want to work on for managing reward, looking at the pay structure, looking at incentives and benefits, creating all of those, because then you get into the numbers game. We need to be able to do skills inventory and find out where are you. And we're not saying you must have those competencies at a mastery level, because when you look at a typical competencies dictionary, it will have a widespread from basics to intermediate to mastery. So depending on the role that you have in HR, sometimes your role may even be very senior, but we may not require you to have a particular competence. We just say, you know what, you need to have some basic understanding of that competency. So be it industrial relations, labor laws, and so on, because you are not the IR practitioner in the HR team. But we need you to have some basic understanding. So we will put it on your skills gap. And when we know your gaps, we can then address your learning and development needs to fill or close those gaps. But let's park for now those HR competencies, because they are required for you to even lay claim to HR work at all. But on top of that are the competencies that you now require to survive in this new world of work. You have to be IT literate. I don't care how fearful you are of IT. And when we say IT literacy, it's not about being able to use WhatsApp or WhatsApp. No, that's not IT literacy. It's not about being able to send an email. You must be able to use the spreadsheet, for God's sake. You must be able to understand artificial intelligence and communication. Because communication is what brings everybody together now in the world of work. Whether you are in Australia, you are in New Zealand, you are in Germany, or you are in Nigeria, communication is essential. So communication skills, it's not about talking now. We're talking of ICT, information communication and technology. It is a basic requirement. But then you go on to other skill sets that help you to manage the workforce in a way that we can get the best out of them. And they're not necessarily HR skill set. So when you are looking at engagement, when you are looking at customer service and internal customers in particular, because you are not a salesperson, not looking at external customers. So there are competencies in there that the HR person must get. Otherwise, you go into a management meeting and you are not able to discuss intelligently. So HR practitioners must go out to acquire this skill set that go beyond their core HR skills. Otherwise, you cannot survive in this new world of work, talk less of the future world of work, where things are going to be extremely fast in how they move. And what you think you know today becomes stale tomorrow. So you really have to be on top of your game as an HR practitioner. I think I want to stop there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I want to agree with Bode entirely that what we've gotten today is a master class. And I want to also say this, that our national conference coming in November, so close, is preceded by what we call the pre-conference classes. 2 day before, a 2-day program before the national conference. And fortunately for us, you heard me calling him IPP raised to power infinity. He has agreed to handle one of those classes. Just go to the website, Cipm website, you will see the class is handling. Yeah, if I were you, I will immediately start, to register for that class. That is just by the way. Sir, my job here is to appreciate you. It's a big shoe they're asking me to step into. But it's a shoe that I am gladly stepping into to say thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. We sincerely appreciate this moment with you. One thing it has done for me is, for me particularly, let me make this personal, is what we have been saying, that the heroes and the labors of our heroes past shall never be in vain. We are so glad to see, people who have been leaders of this institute years back. They are still current. They are remaining fresh. They are remaining vital. For me, it's a thing of joy that you can come back and speak to this generation. We want to say thank you. And I just want to say this, when I grow up, I want to be like you. Sir, you are very much welcome. You are so much welcome. God bless you, sir. We love you. We love you. And thank you for your time. Sean, back to you.
Thank you very much for that, sir. So having said that, we release our distinguished guest speaker to take a bow, and I'm sure the president and chairman of our council will get across to you in due course to tender appreciation to you formally. Again, thank you for honoring our invitation, sir. God bless you. So we continue in this conference, and right now we want to take discussions from our discussants. The first discussant we will be bringing forth to, in the next 10 minutes, discuss what has been discussed so far, and particularly around the theme is Mr. Dahonsi Ogunleye. Mr. Dahonsi Ogunleye was born on 14th December 1963. He graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in English in 1986 from the then Ogun State University and had a master's degree in personnel psychology in 2008 from the University of Ibadan, Oyo State. Mr. Ogunleye began his career in the public service with a stint in the teaching profession between 1988 and 1997. He transferred his service to the mainstream of the civil service as Principal Administrative Officer, grade level 10, and rose through the ranks to the position of Deputy Director, Administrative and Supplies, grade level 16, with effect from 1st July 2014. He has functioned in 10 different agencies of government where he had handled higher responsibilities, which are the Civil Service Commission, Ministry of Justice, Ogun State Independent Electoral Commission, Office of the Chief of Staff to the Governor between 2004 and 2007, and February 2009 to 2011, Bureau of Management and Budget, Bureau of Service Matters, Speech Production Department, Ogun State Internal Revenue and Teaching Service Commission. Mr. Ogunleye has handled quite a number of assignments for the state government, attended numerous conferences, amongst which are project monitoring and evaluation of UNDP, program effective communication, speech and report writing, also to mention a few of his paper presentation and publications. There are disciplinary procedures in the civil service, overview of civil service, history, structure, functions, and ethics, code of conduct for non-teaching staff in Ogun State public secondary schools, the problems of the civil service, and the need for a structural reappraisal. Dear Mr. Dahonsi is a full and functional member of Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, and he's presently the Permanent Secretary, Bureau of Service Matters, Office of the Ogun State Head of Service. Having said that, distinguished colleagues, please let's give a round of applause for our distinguished discussant, Mr. Dahonsi Ogunleye. You're welcome, sir. Kindly unmute and shoot, sir. You have the floor for the next 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Sean Badiru. Distinguished colleagues, allow me to stand on the established protocols. But before I go on, let me quickly appreciate the last presenter, Mr. Victor Famuyibo, for the depth of knowledge and good presentation which he has done. The lecture is not only rich, it is very refreshing. And it is good to know that even somebody who has led the Institute for over a long time ago could still be as current as he is today. So I want to thank him. Let me also express appreciation to the president of the Institute. I guess he's no longer here, but my regards to him. Let me quickly do an overview of the presentation of Mr. Famuyibo. He started by recognizing the volatile nature of work in recent times, the dynamic nature of works, the dynamic nature of work, and he also asserted that one of the most defining aspects of our lives today is work, even if it is stressful. We can't do without it. So it is much important that we understand the new world of work and what can be done to get the best out of it. He said there has been some significant shift in work in the developed world, but I must say it's not just in the developed world, even in developing countries, there has been some significant shift in the nature of work. He noted that there is a shift from agriculture and industrial manufacturing to a service-based economy in developed countries. It's also happening in our own country too. The service industry is going at a very, very fast rate, even though we are still trying to develop the industrial sector. Then he noted that in this modern age, this age is the age of ideas, information, and insight. That is, anybody who wants to be relevant today must love ideas, must love information, and must love insight. He noted drivers of the changes in the new world of work. He noted one of them to be globalization, and there are several others. He mentioned keys to the new world of work. He recognized that one of the basic keys is that there must be one world of business. And in the world of business, we must recognize competitiveness, we must be adaptable, and then we must build networks. He also recognized that there must be transparent organizations and there is an evolving nature of work. Then he noted also that there are some factors shaping the evolution of work. He recognized them as globalization, the change in demography, technology, and ICT. Then he recognized that there are challenges and opportunities in new world of work. That is, it is not just challenges, there are opportunities too. Then he said in order to maximize the opportunities in the new world of work, there are some things that are expected of HR practitioners. He said we must encourage creativity, that we must not be too rigid in applying rules in our organizations, and that he said that this decade and the next one will be controlled by those who are able to create and innovate very well. Then he said that HR practitioners also must learn to empower workers to create change. And we must also think strategically about the workforce. Now I want to take my leverage from some of these postulations which he has made. That is the need to empower workers to create change, the need to think strategically about the workforce. I'm taking into consideration the theme for our conference today, workplace challenges in the new world of work, the need for reskilling. What are the kind of skills that will help us to cope with the emerging changes in the new world of work? Whether we like it or not, there will always be changes in the world of work. Even before the pandemic, there were changes. The world of work is a very, very dynamic system. It changes from time to time. So whether we like it or not, there will be changes. And the pandemic has brought dynamic changes, even changes that people were not prepared for. So when you are having that kind of dynamics, the kind of changes, the one you are prepared for, the one you are not prepared for, what are the kind of skills that will help you to adapt, that will help you to cope, and that will help you to take advantages of the opportunities that could arise from this kind of changes? I have noted a few ones, and before he left, while answering questions the other time, he mentioned one that I consider to be very key, and that is communication. We must learn to develop our communication abilities. We must learn to communicate in the new world of work. Communication is very important. How we communicate within the workspace, the kind of tone that we use when we are addressing one another, how we relate to one another, how we speak to one another. Somebody that is facing anxiety needs to be talked to in a particular way that will enhance his confidence, that will build his confidence. So communication is a very, very important skill that we need to develop. There are also other soft skills that I believe that we need to develop in the new world of work. One of them is the ability to build effective teamwork. When organizations are undergoing changes, there is the need for the organization to build effective teams. We should be able to lean on one another's shoulders. We should be on one another's burden bearers, so that we don't allow somebody to go it alone. If somebody is facing anxiety, he needs understanding, he needs empathy. And some of these are elements that are needed to build effective teams. So we need skills to build teamwork. Then we also need to develop emotional intelligence. We must be very emotionally intelligent. We need to build emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence will help us to cope with unforeseen circumstances, to cope with dynamics in the workplace, the ones that can be anticipated, the ones that cannot be anticipated. So we need to build these soft skills, because whether we like it or not, changes will occur. Technologies will offer changes. Artificial intelligence that he spoke about is here with us, and digitization will also bring changes into our lives. So we need some of these soft skills to be able to cope with the trend that is emerging in the new world of work. Thank you very much. God bless you.
You have just succeeded in helping us summarize what the guest speaker spoke about. Thank you very much for doing justice to that, and then adding your discussion into what has been said. That was really, really an impactful one, and it further helped add color to the entire thing. Next, we will be having another discussion from one of our colleagues all the way from Ota. Mr. Bisiolu Azim Adebisi is a renowned facilitator who had a brief instinct in impacting knowledge at all levels of learning. He's the human resource manager of IMP Songota and also facilitates at the Roy Lake Consulting firm, which is a Cipm accredited study center in Lagos. He joined the human resource profession in 2012 at Qualitech Industries Limited, Lagos, where he was the assistant human resource manager for 7 years. In 2019, he became an associate of Cipm, which coincided with the year he became the human resource manager of Imperial Minerals Products, a conglomerate of tower aluminiums, color codes, and hose pipe mills, Nigeria Limited. The company is an integrated company, and this has spurred Mr. Bisiolu to have various opportunities to exploit international experience in the field of human resource management. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, please let's welcome the ever-smiling Bisiolu Azim. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, everyone. This opportunity given to me, I'm not going to take it for granted, as it's going to form part of various experience we put together. While appreciating everyone, I want to quickly pick a message from my honorable president. And going forward, I'm not going to take his word for granted any longer. As when he was telling us at the beginning that we should pick the pen and paper, so I was not really going to take that serious until when our honorable speaker, Mr. Victor Famuyibo, started his speech. And as at this moment, I think we've learned a lot. Kindly let's go into a summary what Mr. Famuyibo has said. He has mentioned some of the workplaces and the workplace of work. He has been able to tell us about how workplace challenges of work, how different problems are managed, and how the workplace in the new dispensation are tackling it. Firstly, we want to talk about how as these problems emerging. And one of the problems we identify is how the new era of work has affected the health status of our staff, our employees. Could you have remembered sometimes ago when before or during the pandemic, where we need to share offices together with one another? There was a time you call on friends relating, but during the pandemic, they are not there. You can calculate how the mental health of some of the staff might be affected. Also, we could remember when we were talking about how these work challenges affected our work-life balance. He talked about how the technological advancements have come around, how the changes in innovation, work arrangements, workers' engagement, even our social life, employability, marketing, and even the economy as a whole, where he was able to tell us details about how the economy of the world have been affected. Mr. Famuyibo also went ahead and tell us how the world had been deprived of economic value. To add to that, I could remember the G20 meeting where they were talking about how they can influence businesses, how they can add to business growth. Many businesses were dying. Many were calling for help. But when they got the help, what did they do for? What are they been able to do with it? I could remember sometimes ago when our government called on state governments, let us come around and exclude with palliatives. Where is the money today? These are questions for everybody to ask. So, if during Mr. Famuyibo speech, he talked about the changes in the mode of work. So he told about globalization, he told us about the widespread adoption of ICT and digitalization, among others. To sum it up, because we are not having ample time today, we have spent a lot of time. What are those things we thought that should be put in place to help the future workplace? During the ITUC Summit of 2020, in the international conference that was held somewhere in Amsterdam in 2020, there are some postulations put in place on how we thought companies, organizations will make relief of the future opportunities. Some of the postulations they made include employment protection, tax relief for businesses, bailout funds, provision of healthcare, palliative care. But going forward, what do we see? Problems that have been identified. One of them has to be lack of training, lack of internal challenges, adopting non-innovations. All these are culminated to bring about what we are experiencing today. To cut the story short, what are the way forward? The need for reskilling of the workforce. One of those ways I think we can come in and we can be, sorry for that, help our workplaces in reskilling is one, effective training programs. We can overcome challenges of the future by improving our training. This training will help us in what we call the micro-credentials. Micro-credentials offer a more personalized, efficient, and cost-effective way to ensure workforce are keeping their skills relevant and certified. So through effective training and development programs, it will enable our organization to help the skills of our workforce innovate, compete business. Also, the introduction and adoption of innovations. Businesses can overcome this challenge by being open to our opportunities to help shift mindset and see other points of view. It should also have solution-driving questions. Just the way that speaker answers some of those questions. What are those driving some questions, people, competencies being needed? Some of those things we should put in place. This way, we'll be able to recognize problems when they arise, and it's not a big. Another problem that we've identified that we think we should work on is globalization. This is a big challenge that affects many economy, markets, competitive, and new technologies are affecting this that leads to short focus and people not getting anything done. Companies end up making short-term plans instead of long-term plans, but failing to plan 5 to 10 years into the future. We can also overcome this challenge by balancing the need for a more reactive short-term focus, which needs for informed long-term strategies. This will improve employees' confidence in the business and provide a long-term output and strategy to address these economic doubts. Also, regulations is also another problem, which we can overcome by understanding regulatory of government policies in the industries and their implications for our business. Developing the necessary space to deal with them and understand the law and implication will enable your business to make intelligent decisions. Fear of globalization, as earlier identified, globalization is on the rise. with many companies now entering new markets, which can be threatening for business with a traditional local focus, now having compete with international companies. Companies that are not operating on an international scale can feel at risk. As a result, may even be left behind at the marketplace. Technological advancement is what I think is the major problem that needs to be put in place. So if we can overcome this challenge by creating a long-term technology strategy, while staying flexible enough to take advantage of unexpected technological developments, this will allow us to gain the upper hand over our competitors. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate you. I love you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bisiolu Azim. You logged in with Arrowweb, and
yes.
Let me not push sarcasm here, because I wanted to say the way you look robust, you know, you indeed have money to eat eba. Yeah. So moving on, in this meeting, so we appreciate you, sir. Thank you for joining us in this meeting. It's our hope that when we call you next time, you will always be there for us. At the appropriate time, we will send you your thank you formally. So again, thank you for coming. God bless you. So the last discussion for the day, we will be having from a distinguished administrator. Pastor Felix Egogo is a seasoned administrator, human resource consultant, experienced banker, stockbroker, and human resource manager. A full and functional member of Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, Felix holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Public Administration from Ambrose Ali University, EPOMA, and a Master's in Public Administration from University of Ilorin. He has attended several courses both within and outside the shores of Nigeria. Felix worked in the financial services sector and rose to become a branch manager before joining the RCCG. He's currently a regional administrator in RCCG covering West Africa. He's skilled in planning, staffing and recruitment, corporate governance, data management and analysis, business operations, and office management, amongst others. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, please let's put it together as we welcome Pastor Felix Egogo, who also doubles as the chairman of the RCCG chapter of our dear institute. Pastor Felix, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Pastor Bodinson. It's been a very nice time.
Could you please lower the volume of your device? Kindly lower the volume
All right.
of your device.
I hope it's okay now.
Yes.
Can you hear me clearly? All right.
Yes.
Let me also stand on the existing protocol already established, and I say a very big thank you to all the people who have spoken ahead of me, our guest speaker, and the discussants, and also our chairman, our president of Cipm. We appreciate all our leaders on this platform. Because of time, a good review has been done by Mr. Downsy, which I feel is enough for every one of us to hold on. So I'll just take a little of my discussion on the point that has been raised by Mr. Famuyibo. Issues that were raised borders about technology, economics, production, and other things. We also saw from the lecture how the workforce can adapt to the new world of work. And we also saw the need for reskilling. Mr. Downsy has helped us to look at some of the skills that we actually need to meet up with these things. And he had mentioned the gap in communication, which I also noted here. I also feel some of this gap we need to also develop in the changing world is customer service, and our guest lecturer mentioned it. And it will help us because if we don't reskill in customer service, we may find it difficult to cope in the new world of work. Interpersonal relationship is another aspect where we need to reskill. We need to understand how to manage people. I think somebody also mentioned that, and for us to be able to adapt, because there are always alternatives in the workplace, and there will always be alternative, just as we have changes, there will always be changes. And so we must improve, we must upscale, we must reskill our interpersonal relationship, our emotional intelligence, and the way we relate with people. We must learn new ways on how to relate with people. I also discovered that some of the problem in the new work world has to do with the falling standard in economy. The standard of living is dropping. Many state governments, even federal government, are not able to meet up with the demand of the workforce. People are not able to meet up with the minimum wage. The remuneration of workers are so small, they can't meet up because of the high standard of living. And so it is in the new world of work that we can help the people to be creative, just like we have learned today, that you have to be creative. And at every point in time, your creativity depends on the value that you can add. If you don't create value, if you don't add value, then you cannot improve your economy, whether as an individual or as an organization. So for us to be able to relate, for us to be able to adjust to the challenges of the new world, we must create value. Very, very important. We must be able to create value. It's the value you create that will determine the standard of the economy, both of the organization and also of your personal life. Then in the area of how the challenges of the workplace affect us politically, we can discover that globally, because of the changes and because of the new world we find ourselves, leadership all across the world and followership, they are failing. We have a system of failed leadership, both in organizations and even in the workplace. And so for us to adapt, for us to be able to meet up with the new workplace, we must put more emphasis on leadership. We must put focus on people that comes to place of leadership. For example, you can look at this conference we are having. If we don't have a good leadership, bringing in this conference together or putting this conference together, then we will have been losing so many knowledge. But leadership is important in the new place of work. The kind of leader you have determines your direction. And I think one of the skills that we should begin to develop as HR professionals is our leadership skills. Again, we see one of the points that was highlighted is the lack of professionalism. And if we lack professionalism, we are going to lack investment. Once there are no professional, the guest lecturer mentioned something, say you cannot be a generalist. You cannot be you must be a professional. You must have where you are good at. So lack of professionalism is a challenge for the workplace. And for us to be able to meet up to the change, to meet up with the new world of work, we must become professional. And again, talking about technology, lack of expertise in handling technology has become a band, has become a problem in the workplace. There is a cost for running technology. Of course, we may lose some hands, we may need to engage some other people, but until we get the right expertise, the guest lecturer mentioned to us that knowing technology is not just doing WhatsApp, it's not just doing Facebook, but much more, you must be able to use applications. You must be able to, to streamline, you must be able to do a lot of things. You see, the workplace is changing. You don't need to be in the office 24 hours to get things done. A lot of things are now done via online. So we are reducing the manual work to online presence. And so as professionals, we must upscale, we must reskill. You see, let me just round up because of time. Going forward, I just say what we need to do is, number one, for us to meet up with the new workplace, we must reduce our manual activity because it's fading away, and we must improve on our data information. We must have less paperwork. We must have more online presence because people find it more convenient to work online than coming for physical meetings or coming for physical work. We must also understand that the post-COVID has taught us that we can work from anywhere. And so we must reskill on how to achieve productivity and performance from anywhere we find ourselves. And our responsibility is what will determine our productivity. Our responsibility is what will determine our performance. So you must be ready as professionals, as HR practitioners, as administrators. You must be ready to take up responsibility. And someone said responsibility is not given except you take it. You must be ready to create value. Without value, you can't have a strong economy. And I believe with what we have learned today, we'll all go back, rethink, put down what are the new things we want to do. And as we do this, we'll discover that we'll be able to fit into the new world of work. I hope with this few discussion, I've been able to stir you up again. Thank you very much for bringing me on this platform, and I'm not taking it for granted. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, my distinguished chairman. Please clap for him very well, though. That is the man I'm shadowing. That is the chairman of my chapter. I'm just the vice chairman, deputizing for him. Now, this is mine to you. When you retire or you resign, what do you want to be known for in that organization? I know people have said positive things about you. They have said negative things. That does not move me a bit. Everybody has strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So beyond the weaknesses that those who have, numerous, immeasurable weaknesses, they have their own, but they kind of want to magnify yours and drown your achievements. Beyond what they say about you, what legacy do you want to leave behind in that organization, whether RCCG, whether the corporate world in OTA, whether the civil service? What legacy are you leaving behind when you no longer work with them? Beyond your job roles, what can you itemize that you have contributed to that organization? If you cannot itemize anything beyond what they ask you to do, then you need to rethink. And for you to successfully do this, for you to successfully add value, you must open yourself up to learning. You must open yourself up to learning. All the digital skills I have today, I did not have them when I joined this workforce. I kept learning again and again. 24 hours a day, I'm on the internet. My laptop never goes off. As one idea drops, I'm clicking YouTube, checking this seminar, checking that seminar, just to update my knowledge. And today, I am what I am by the grace of God. If I leave this organization today, I can point to 1 or 2 or 3 things I can say, these and these and these are my achievements in this organization. So as HR and admin managers, what do you want to be known for when you leave that organization? Please, it's time you start preparing for your retirement and the legacy you want to leave behind. That brings us to should I say, a reminder of the upcoming national conference. This is another opportunity for you to be impacted. For those in the RCCG, of course, you know we have our way of registering. So meet with Pastor Johnson Adams, who is coordinating it, and then the appropriate things will be done. For those in the civil service, again, our chairman, the branch chairman is there, Alhaji Adetunto Abubakar. Please meet with him and get yourself registered for the national conference. And for our colleagues in Ota and Agbara, please meet with the chapter chairman at those levels, and I believe justice will be done. So the big fish in our small pond is extending his appreciation to you, sir. If the president, had he been the president still on this call, we would have asked him to also thank you. So you know how important you are, sir. Mr. Shola Ogunmelui. Again, on behalf of the executive committee of their institute in Ogun State branch, we want to appreciate every one of us for staying on this call till now. I know the day is fast spent, and it's the time we have invested in this meeting is not a waste. Be assured that on a monthly basis, we are going to be having a professional development clinic, both at the branch, that's the Ogun State branch, and across the chapters. So we are going to be bringing distinguished, seasoned HR practitioners who have blazed trails in their fields of endeavors to drill us and share with us what they are doing in their various fields of endeavors. So please stay glued to the WhatsApp platforms to get information about these professional development clinics. I celebrate the leaders from all the chapters, all our distinguished guests. My chairman, thank you for the privilege to also still be here. Yes, the chairman of the conference planning committee, Edith. I believe Edith should still be on this call. I would like you to unmute and give a word of appreciation also, because the entire load was on your neck, on your head, and then thereafter, please round up the meeting with, I think a Muslim should pray for us, but kindly say something and then hand over to a Muslim to close us in prayers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bode. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I want to say a big thank you to all our speakers, starting from Mr. Victor Famuyibo, the discussants, our presidents who graced this occasion, chairmen from other branches, and members of other branches. And a very big thank you to members of our branch who showed great interest in this conference, subscribed to it, and actually attended. Thank you for not making our efforts go in vain. And I want to believe that we've learned a lot. We're better than we were before the conference, and we'll go back to our different workplaces to make a difference. So once again, I say thank you for participating, and I hope and believe that we will all meet again, whether physical or virtual. God bless you all. Thank you.
Okay. To lead us in the closing prayers, Is Mr. Balogun on this call? Oladele Balogun. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, please, kindly lead us in closing prayers as we go.
All right. We thank the Almighty Allah for his protection and guidance. For the conference that we've had today, we have learned one or two things. And we also believe that by the time we go back to our various workplaces, we'll put them into practice. We call on to Allah to guide us, protect us, continue to be with us in all our ramifications, and be with our family. I will recite the Fatiha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ar-Rahmanirrahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim.